Interest rates are going up. Trying to get ahead is mighty, mighty tough. Bill collectors at my door. I need someone to help me raise my credit score.
Welcome back to the Polto Show. Every show, I always say to you, what does it get? What do I have to do to get your attention? You don't see a guest beside me today, but the guest is here in the studio. She doesn't want to be seen, but she definitely wants to be heard because of the topic. Today is a very vital topic, not just for me, but for every one of you that are parents. To every one of you that have children in school, this is a really topic. But before I even bring my guest on, you have to know the difference, because obviously the school did not know the difference. And many of the people in our country and our cities doesn't know the difference of these two meanings. Why? I don't know. We're not brain dead. But I'm going to tell you the differences before we bring the guest on. What is a bully? What is a bully? You hear the word all the time. Well, sometimes they think, often bullies are bigger kids. They pick on kids that are smaller than them. Kids they think that won't stand up to them. And they have a few friends to stand up to them as well. Sometimes they enjoy power. They feel the power over kids. They feel the power over somebody else. And what do you do if somebody is bullying you? Well, you're supposed to tell your teachers, your parents, and many of you won't. And it's interesting because a bully is a person who purposely tries to hurt others, making them feel uncomfortable, hurting by kicking, pushing, tripping them, name-calling, and spreading nasty rumors. And the bully hurts the other person over and over again. And that bully feels they can't do anything. They may feel smaller or weaker than the bully. Now, this is a bully. This is a bully. And the reason why I'm saying remember this word is because a lot of people get it confused. Get it confused with molesting. Now, a child molester aren't usually thought of as child molesting another child, especially when the children are around the same age. Yes, a child molester goes unnoticed. The molester can take place anywhere. The young molester may choose their prey on their victim where they know they won't get caught. And they normally know it's wrong. A young child molester may have learned to molest, being molested themselves, or watching adults who are the molesters, or by watching TV or the internet, or even looking at porn machines. Because of the embarrassment, where does a child go for somebody to believe them? Did you know that at least 16 children kill themselves every year because they're being bullied at school and no one in authority is doing anything about it to tackle the bully? The word bully, remember that. Did you know that the UK, there's an anti-bully policy in all schools? Not here. Once bullying starts, many children will side or appear on the side of the bully because they know that otherwise they themselves will be bullied. The bully is a deeply unpopular child with whom other children associate with, not through friendship, through fear. They say those who get away with this type of action in this type of school place will go to be serial bullies in the workplace. Now, if you're working and somebody has that power play over you, what did they do? How did they act as a child? Then there's the kid who's afraid to go home to tell his parents. They're so embarrassed for many reasons, and they're never found out. Well, we all heard, naturally, worldwide news of the Penn State. And today we're going to set the record straight. You've seen, well, you actually haven't seen, they blurred her out. And the reason why, before I even bring her on, but she's not going to be on. You're going to hear her. And the reason why she doesn't want to show her face, which she will say again, because of her child. Her child is only 9 years old, but her child said, Mom, when you're ready to show your face, please let me know and I'll let you know. Because he's still under that intimidation part. And yet, we have to set the record straight. She was actually a client of mine. She didn't know what to do. And the media, they want certain stories. They don't want certain stories. And what do they want? Does the media want? We don't know, but they want action. And you know what? I'm not for action. I'm for getting results. It's not just for a story. I want to get results when I do the Pearl Polto show. I've always for the consumer. And this person contacted me and said, Pearl, and she was shaken. And when she told me her story, I thought, no, this has to get the media attention. And she did. She did get the media attention. They blotted out her face as well. And where did it go? Well, we're going to find out, because today, for the first time, and she's also my friend, we're going to set the record straight. One, I want to welcome Mary to the Pearl Polto show. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Pearl. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mary, I wanted you to start from the beginning. I would like you to start from the beginning to tell the people, when did it start, where did it all begin, and how?
Okay. Let me just say that the reason why I'm not showing my face is because my son is still very scared. And he's very nervous, and he doesn't want to be singled out or laughed or picked on even the more, or ridiculed, because we're still living with this trauma, and we're still living with the melee behind the fact. This happened last year, October 25th. My son came to me a week after the assault happened. They physically and sexually assaulted him.
When you say physically and sexually assaulted him, how did you know?
My son told me maybe like 5 days or maybe a couple days after the assault.
How did he tell you? Scared, crying?
Well, he came home from school. He was throwing up after the actual assault in the bathroom. The nurse called me. I rushed to the school. He said he couldn't stop throwing up. I brought him home, gave him Tylenol, took him to the pediatrician, just the normal. I'm thinking he just has a stomach virus, and he goes to school the next couple days. The next day or two, his behavior changed dramatically. He's sporadic, he's defiant, and this is not this type of child. So we went out to dinner, and I had a conversation, and he just looked like a deer in headlights. So I'm saying, what's going on? And we came home maybe about 11 o'clock. I had to go to school that night. Maybe about 11 o'clock when I came in, he said, Mommy, I need to talk to you. So he's like, I need to tell you something. Can you please not get mad at me? So I said, what do you mean not get mad at you? And he begins to tell me that he thought he was gay.
Wow.
So I said, why would you think you were gay? And he said, because I want to sleep with little boys. And I said, why would you say that? And he's like, what gave you that impression? And I said, did someone touch you? Did someone do anything to you? And he started throwing up profusely. Just kept throwing up. So after calming him down, it's about 4 a.m. He begins to tell me how 3 little boys, classmates, followed him into the bathroom. One put him in a chokehold. The other one held his hands, and the other one attempted.
These are 3 little kids. Now, what are the ages of these kids?
These kids were 10. My son was 8.
8 years old.
First time being in public school.
And that's when they start. 8. What time? I mean, what age?
That's 4th grade.
It's 4th grade.
That's 4th grade.
So these 3 kids push him. Get him in the bathroom.
No, he was in the bathroom already. The teacher allowed him to go to the bathroom by himself because he wasn't, you could tell my child was out of place. This is the first time he's ever been in public school. Unfortunately, he was thrown to public school due to family court, allowing the father to play games with paperwork and lowered the child support. which I am utterly outraged because the father been playing games with this child support for the last year and a half. And, you know, Judge Doherty, who is the administrative judge over family court, I wrote letters, I have complained.
Well, we're going to go into that part, but he goes into the bathroom to go to the bathroom.
He goes into the bathroom. He see these kids already bullying him. I didn't know these children were bullying him. He did
so before this took place, they did bully him.
They did bully him. Okay. Absolutely. My son told his teacher. My son told the school police officer. And I was really upset with the principal and the authorities at the school because I want to know, why wasn't an intervention? Why wasn't I called as a parent to be told?
Why didn't they call you?
Why didn't they call me and tell me my child was being bullied? Why we didn't have a meeting with these parents? After the assault took place and a week after when my son was removed from this school, well, he was removed that Monday. I called the principal that Saturday after calling special victims and the police.
Okay, wait a minute. You're rushing. You're fast forwarding. He came home.
Yes.
He was throwing up. He told you what happened.
He told me
in
what
this
happened.
Bathroom.
Yes.
After he told you what happened, I mean, I don't even want to imagine what you thought at the time.
I was devastated. I couldn't even sleep. I finally got him to sleep and gave him a Tylenol about 6 o'clock. I called the police. Police came to my house. We then was taken to special victims. We were in special victims pretty much all day. I gave a statement. He gave a statement. We then went from special victims to Children's Hospital and was there until about 7 o'clock. My next door neighbor had a contact phone number for one of the teachers because her son was also a classmate of my son. And the teacher called me. Then the principal called me and I explained to her what happened. So Monday when I went to my son's school, he was already transferred.
The kid that did it, one of the kids.
How many? One of the kids, my son was already transferred out of the school.
Who you transferred him?
The school district transferred him.
So they wanted to hush everything?
Yes, they wanted to hush everything.
Boy, this sounds like a Penn State thing, though. But the thing is, they wanted to hush everything.
Yes, they just it gave me extenuating circumstances to transfer my son to another neighborhood school.
And what did you do?
I transferred him.
I know you transferred him, but what did you do?
I was outraged. I was like, this would happen, you know, you guys got to do something. The principal offered me to have a conversation with these other parents. And I'm like, have a conversation for what? The police are involved. Special victims are involved.
Right.
This is not bullying. They did what, I don't think they did what your son. I said, you're a liar.
They didn't believe you.
They didn't believe me.
They didn't believe your son.
They didn't believe my son.
So they're saying it's bullying.
That it's bullying. It was just bullying. It was just intimidation, so forth and so whatnot. The school police officer came in. She did announce and said that a week prior, my son did come to her and said that these 3 children were bullying him. She wrote it up, but where did the paperwork go?
And that was still called bullying. The bullying happened before the molesting.
That's correct.
Now, why didn't the school believe you or your son?
Because that didn't happen.
What happened in the bathroom?
That didn't happen.
Why? What were they so afraid of to acknowledge it? Did they think your son was lying or you were lying?
They thought my son and I was lying. They thought we were lying. I'm saying this is the first time my son has ever been in public school. Why would he lie about anything like that? And that's when Wednesday when I called you and said one of the public relations directors got on TV and said, "Oh, this is just an isolated incident. This is just bullying." But how is it's just bullying when they have almost like a record of 600 and something assaults in public schools, starting from elementary school up to high school, of children being raped and molested and assaulted, and the school district is doing nothing. They keep making it isolated incident. All these issues and all these things cannot be isolated incidents.
No,
they cannot be.
No. Now, after your kid is transferred,
yes,
and the police got involved in it, what happened to these 3 kids? Since you didn't want to talk to their parents, I wouldn't have either. What happened to these 3
Well,
kids?
the principal assured me on that day, which is the 7th of November, these kids would be suspended. They will be expended until a further investigation. They were never suspended. They wasn't suspended until the 15th of November. They then was arrested. That's when the school district took it seriously and said, "Oh my God, this really happened."
Okay, when they got arrested, they come to his house. Did they lock them up? These are 9-year-olds,
They
8-year-old
they had to
kids.
turn themselves in, and warrants were issued for their arrest. One of them was taken out of school, and the other two parents turned them in.
So the other 2 parents turned them in, so they got arrested. Now,
Yes.
what happened when they got, I mean, they're only little kids, but they did an act to
Of
your
adults,
son,
of adults, absolutely.
and yet they're getting locked up. What happened from there if they got locked up?
We were issued a subpoena to come to court. My son was willing to testify. Unfortunately, I was very nervous about him testifying, only because of he told me first, so I wouldn't be allowed in the room. And he told his father, so we wouldn't be allowed in a room because it was like we will be called as witnesses. But my son would have been in a room of 30-something people and these children without nobody there. Kevin Doherty he always take high-profile cases.
Who was Kevin Doherty?
He is the administrative judge over 1801 and Family Court.
And what did he
He
see from
was
all this?
outraged. He was livid. These kids need to tell the truth because they still was lying, saying they did not do this.
Okay.
One little boy did finally tell the truth. So he
Out
was
of the 3 of them, one decided
to tell the truth because they was at Youth Study Center. They
Now,
were.
how did he tell the truth? What did he say, and who did he say it to?
He said it to the judge. He kept throwing up because they were arrested on November 25th. So for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, they were in custody. So I guess that was enough for him to finally tell the truth.
He got scared.
He got scared.
And did he rat on the other 2 kids?
He rat on the other 2 kids.
And what happened to the other?
They still stuck to their story.
They still stuck, but they still were locked up now.
They still was locked up. Yes.
Now, when you say locked up, how do you lock up an 8-year-old?
Youth Study Center.
The Youth Study Center.
Yes.
Now, how long were they there?
Calvin.
That's okay. You can give you any name they want.
One child came home on supervised visits because of him telling the truth.
Okay. So he was allowed home. The one that told the truth,
Yes.
they let him go.
They let him come home on supervised visits
Okay,
and
but the
probation.
other 2,
Went back to jail
unless they told the truth.
unless they told the truth. So
what happened?
They did not. So they went back on January 13th.
Unbelievable. So they went back. How long
Yes.
did they go back for?
A month.
They were there for a whole month? What were these parents doing?
They were pleading like their kids didn't do it. Their kids didn't do it. And the judge didn't want to hear anything that the parents were saying because I stood up and said, if these kids were being supervised and these kids were such good kids, how were they allowed to do this to my son? Mm-hmm. Where were you if you're advocating for your child? Where were you when they did this to my child? And my understanding from my son and other kids in the community, these kids did this to other children.
Of course it had to be. You don't just do it one time.
Absolutely, because you felt so comfortable to do it.
Exactly. And they knew what to do.
Right.
And as I said at the beginning of the show, they did what they watched. So what's going on in these parents' houses?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, was that ever brought up in court?
It was.
That these kids watch their parents or their family
I don't know.
molest?
I don't know all the particulars. I just know it was off the record.
So if it's off the record, that means they don't know. No one wants to talk about it. But that could be they're still doing it. The parents are doing it for the kids to watch it. I mean, the kids have to learn how to do something, unless it's TV all the time.
I think it's TV and some other unsavory and people.
Now, right now, so they got out of jail.
Yes.
And what happened after that?
One child came off for probation in February, which I am utterly disgusted about.
Now,
It's
why
not
did
even 6 months.
Why did he come off probation?
Because he felt, Judge Doherty felt as though he followed the very lenient, structured guidelines that he had set and imposed.
So the one is out.
One is out, no restraining order, no protection order. He's been around my neighborhood. My son has seen him. My son has ran home because he's seen him.
Now, the one boy is still there.
All of them are home.
All of them are home.
All of them been home since January.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding, they had supervised visits. I still have 2 protective or stay away orders on the 2, but the one is free as a bird. I don't understand how the laws protect the criminal more than the victim.
Especially when it comes to children.
Especially when it comes to children. I don't understand how the school district has still not have apologized, said sorry, took any accountability, asked if I was okay. They haven't
apologized
They
to
have
you?
never apologized.
Now, where does it stand? As of this date, you had to go after the school system.
Yes.
So, did you sue the school system?
They've been put on notice.
Okay, they're put on notice. And have they have any policies in the school now?
They have my understanding, they came out with a newsletter saying that children are not allowed to go to the bathroom by themselves. They need 2 children to go at the same time. But that was the policy prior to. But my thing is, why aren't there hard monitors? Where are the parents? Why can't you, all these people out of work, all these people out of work, all these men out of work, why can't you allow parents that's out of work, that needed income, go into the schools, be hall monitors, be bathroom monitors? These kids are scared to death to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
they are peeing in the hallways. They are peeing in fountains. They're doing anything they need to do so they don't go to the bathroom.
I'm a little bit surprised because, look at the reverse of it. If they're saying 2 kids go to the bathroom, then they already know what's happening.
Hello.
Bingo. They
Yes.
already know what's happening. If they're saying 2 kids have to go to the bathroom together, I would think they already know what's happening, or they would have a policy there, as you just said, have a guard in front of that school or that bathroom. This has happened before. Are you allowed to mention that school?
Bryan School in Southwest Philadelphia.
So it's Bryan School in Southwest Philadelphia. They're still working today.
They still doing whatever. It even was disclosed later on that they did not even have a dean of students, so they didn't have a proper protocol or procedure. So if a child gets in trouble, or you have a adverse action with the child, what's the proper procedure to get in touch with the parent if the principal is not available?
How is the system, the court system, the police, how are they treating you with this?
The police was absolutely phenomenal. I was quite impressed. Special victims, I would love to call out the officer's name, but they know who they are. They did their due diligence. They were superb. They did not doubt us one bit.
They wouldn't. Because, they wouldn't. But what about the court system?
The court system is horrible. It's antiquated. It's crap. And it does not work for the victim.
Now, when you sue, naturally you sued the school system, correct?
Yes, the municipalities, which has laws to protect them. When I don't understand, it's an oxymoron for me. And please help me understand this. How is it that kids supposed to have their inalienable rights to go to school and be safe, and it's a no bullying policy, and the kids supposed to be safe at all costs? How is it that my child was not protected?
Well, can't you sue over that?
But municipalities have rules and laws that protect them from parents coming after them because they're a municipality.
Okay, so I'm going to say, why can't Congress or the senator come in this and pass new laws?
What about our governor?
Even the governor. Why can't you go to the governor? Why can't we send a copy of this to the governor to say, you got to straighten out your schools?
That's not safe schools. I don't know.
There is in other countries, as you heard me say, UK, and I think there's Florida and Georgia. They have policies in these schools. Now, the school system in Philadelphia, there's got to be a higher up there that you can go to. I'm assuming they think you're just one person.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
They think you're one person. What more can she do?
Right. Absolutely. Isolated incident.
So you have to deal with this and your son,
yes,
you think, for the rest of your life because it happened.
Yes.
And yet you don't know what's going to happen in 20 years from now to your son because it did happen to him.
Right.
Now I'm going to go into what you've heard so much about, I'm sure you're relating to it, is the Penn State. What could have been corrected there and what could have been stopped?
That travesty was... At the same time or even before what happened to my son, I felt so helpless for those parents because I can't even imagine what they were feeling after the fact to know that this would happen to their child and now their children are grown. I feel sorry and sympathy, and my heart goes out to the victims because you had to live with this secret. I thank God for my son having the courage to tell me.
What was the problem there, though? What do you think the problem was there? Why didn't these kids come forward?
I don't know, because I guess, I'm not in these children's minds. I don't know what type of relationship they have with their parents, or they felt as though embarrassed to the degree that they couldn't tell anybody, that they had to live with the secret. But I tell my children, I raise my children, that you can tell me anything. Mm-hmm. That's mommy's job, is to advocate for you and to fight for you till my dying breath. I will
That's what
fight.
You taught your child.
I have taught all 3 of my children that.
So they already knew and felt comfortable,
yes,
no matter how bad it was,
yes,
to come to you. So don't you see that the people from Penn State, they were afraid?
Absolutely.
That no one would believe them? And
yes,
obviously their parents wouldn't have believed them.
yes,
Well, how could he do this? We know this guy. How could he do this? Well, they could have said the same thing. You could have said the same thing to your child. Oh, I don't believe you. Come on.
I know my child's character. I know my child. He's an 8-year-old little boy with a vivid imagination, but far as a vivid imagination, far as superheroes and things that little children supposed to think about. For him to come home and tell me something that horrendous and that horrible, I know he didn't make that up.
No, he couldn't have. When we come back, we're going to take a mini commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk about, we got to have a solution to all this. And because this is not going to stop at the schools, it's not going to stop today with the schools that you're in. If you're a parent out there, do some homework. Go to your school. Sit down with the principal to say, what do we have here? What do we have here that this won't happen in our school? This is pretty sad. This is our kids of tomorrow. And if they're all being attacked and raped and molested, our country's in bad shape. We'll be right back.
I'm consumer protection lawyer Kerry Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Polto Show. We often get calls from consumers complaining about their experience at a car dealership. Very often a dealer will advertise a low interest rate, but when you go to sign for the loan, you get stuck with a higher interest rate. Sometimes they'll blame your credit history, whether that's the real reason or not. There are laws in place that protect consumers from these and other unfair tactics that are sometimes practiced by some of the car dealers. We know the rules that the car dealers have to live by, whether Pennsylvania or New Jersey. If you feel you've been taken advantage of, call us for a no-cost consultation at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225, or visit our website, consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, our fees are paid only by the car dealer at the end of your case. 888-668-1225. We'll be happy to work for you.
Welcome back to the Polto Show. Don't forget, next week we have Michael Kane on. He's a fireman in the Philadelphia area. You really don't want to miss that show either, because enough's enough. And before I get back to my guest, breaking news, big news. My book, Enough is Enough, Are We Doomed? Enough is Enough, is on Kindle right now. You will be seeing it if you go to my website. You can order it, and I have many solutions to the problems in this country. And I think if you read this book, you will relate to it. My guest today, we're calling her Mary. She went through a lot. And when you go through a lot with your children, and your children are afraid to come to you because they think, what am I going to do? My mother's not going to believe me, or they're embarrassed, or I'm too embarrassed because I got molested, or am I gay? So the child doesn't know what to do. In the Penn State, we can't talk for them, but we can assume that they were afraid. One, afraid to go to their parents to say, my mother's not going to believe me. My father's not going to believe me. And yet, if you have a child, maybe the key is to listen. There's many fibs that go on out there, but my problem is I don't think the schools know the difference between bullying and molesting, because they're calling it bullying. Well, at the beginning of the show, I told you the differences between bullying and molesting. There's a big difference. If you get raped, you're raped. They can't say they're attacking you. You got raped. Why is it so different for adults? Why do we have different words? If you're attacked on the street and get molested, you got sexually molested. It's clear. Why would somebody say, well, they got bullied? Why do we use different words in the adult language than the school language of children? Because we hear the word always bullying. Bullying is one thing, and I think you realize it. Those of you that are baby boomers, those of you that are not baby boomers, when you heard the word bullying, you thought, a group of kids attacked you all the time with words. You're this, you're no good, you're not a member of our gang, you're no good. That's bullying. Or to make you because they feel superior over you. But I think they draw the line when they come across you in a men's room, or they come across you on a dark street and molest you, rape you. I'm going to use the word rape because kids are not used to this. And we have adult channels for adults, not for children. And yet the same adults are in a denial. This is what, it's a scary world to raise your kids. I'm glad I'm past that. Because, I don't know, I'd have the biggest mouth in the nation. Because it's a scary world, not just for one side. The children is saying, Mom, I just got molested. I just got raped. And on the other side, a teacher in the school saying, oh, it's bullying. They're all doing it. They're all doing it. No big deal. But we'll make them two walk together. Isn't it kind of scary that our government, our governor, Harrisburg, Washington, isn't making this a point? Is it because we're in a public school? They don't have the funds to do this? And I'm going to ask our guest this because that's what I think the problem is. Mary, do you believe that the school system doesn't have the funds to do what you want them to do? Or maybe because you're suing, it's going to hurt them in their pocketbook, but you hear about the Catholic schools, the priest, that look what's happening there. And these kids went through whole years of Catholic school, getting molested, and now they're coming out in the open to all the priests. What is going on? What's wrong with this country? What's wrong with the schools? What do you think that's going on?
In reference to the funding, I think the funding is there. If they put the funding where it's supposed to be, our governor took a lot of our money and tried to build prisons. Stop building prisons.
Okay.
If you educate our children and you protect our children, you won't have to build prisons. We already have 50-something different prisons. Why we need another 13 different prisons here in Pennsylvania?
Because they're predicting crime.
Well, if you're not educating the children, if you're not paying for safety in the school, if you're not paying for, adequate resources for teachers to teach, and there's no way in the world a teacher can adequately teach a classroom of 35 or 37 children.
Okay.
Stop mainstreaming children.
But if you got raped by even your husband or the guy who raped you would be going to jail.
Absolutely.
Why is it one good for one and not the other? Because these are children.
Well, there's no laws in place for children, and this set a new precedent, which there is no law or statute to address children under 11 years old. And I'm not understanding this because a little girl in Southwest was in a rec center just less than a month ago and was gang raped. Like, this is an issue and this is a problem in our community. And we need to stop turning a blind eye. We need to stop acting like it's isolated incident and protect our children.
Why aren't they, though? Why aren't the parents protecting their children? Why aren't the parents believing their children to gang up to get something happening? Why do you think? Is it the system or is it the parents not joining forces?
I think it's the system. I think parents are crying out. But if you have me over here and another one over there, and then the system is just making it isolated incidents and make sure we don't have a dialogue and we don't have a solution, then that's all they're going to do is treat us as isolated incidents.
The governor that you're talking about, What's the governor you're talking about?
Corbin.
Corbin. Okay. Now, Corbin, what has he done so far?
He appointed a safe advocate council or board for the school district.
He appointed a safe advocate. Well, that's nice of him, but what does that do?
I don't know.
And what is it going to stop the molesters of the kids? They're not a brain set, so what is this going to do?
I have no idea.
So, to me, it sounds like a cop-out.
Nothing has been done.
Nothing has been done.
Nothing has been done. My son has been in intense therapy. No one has apologized. The school district has not even offered therapy, not even offered counseling. I'm not able to go back to work because of my son's counseling.
So they're trying to sweep it under the carpet.
Absolutely.
Now, what are they so afraid of, though? Are they so afraid that they're not going to get funds? Are they afraid you're going to sue? What are they afraid of?
I have no idea. You would have to address those conversations to them, but they won't even have a dialogue. They won't even have a dialogue with me at what can we do to better equip our schools about what needs to be done. I did meet with one person. I apologize. I did meet with one person from the Safe Advocate board. I won't call her name. She was very pleasant. She was very concerned. She is a former district attorney, and she asked my son for, opinions and remedies, and he said maybe a hotline they can institute, like they have a homework hotline. They need a call hotline so children can call. They should have a web page where children can send emails or text messages saying they're being bullied or bothered or assaulted. Like, they need an avenue. Please, pretending that just sticking our heads in the sand and pretending that this is not happening across our city is irresponsible.
You just came across, now I haven't been with my child in schools for ages, but you just came across with something. Is there one major big school or one major organization that takes care of all the schools in Philadelphia?
Yeah, the School District of Philadelphia.
That's what it's called, the School District of Philadelphia.
Yes.
So they control all the school districts, correct?
They control
now,
all the schools.
Now, if you gave me their address, if you would give me their address.
400 South Broad Street.
That's it?
That's it.
Interesting. And is there anybody? So what you have to do is, what I would like to do is write them a letter.
The Board of Education.
The Board of Education.
Yes. The Philadelphia Board of Education.
Because what you just said, maybe if we can't educate the parents, which is obvious, we can't educate the school teachers, which is obvious. They're all hiding it. Maybe on the other hand, because, and I'm going to relate to something which you'll agree, maybe if they have a hotline, if a kid is molested, or they could say to the other kid, you do that, I'm going to rat on you, and I'm going to tell, and it could be a buddy system on top of it with a toll-free. All they have to do is pick up
a confidential line where someone is answering these calls and police are investigating. They have a unit or somebody.
I'm going to write a letter to this. And the reason why I'm going to write a letter to this, because I'm thinking of, in my day, I remember with the public school system where if the parents hit the kids, if you remember.
Yes.
They put a hotline together.
That's
in
correct.
The schools.
And they have a homework hotline. So if you have a homework hotline, well, how about a safety issue?
Well, if your parents would hit you, pick up the phone if you're getting abused by your family.
Yes.
And you could call up and report your family.
Yes.
Well, why can't the kids have another hotline if they can report their own parents hitting them? Because that changed all creation.
Yes, it did.
It changed child abuse.
Yes, it did.
So now, why can't we have the same connection, which I'm going to address with the Board of Education, to say, why isn't there a hotline now through all the schools? If a kid's molested, you can rat on them. Or join forces to help other kids to say, pick up the phone. This is in silence. Johnny just attacked me in the schoolroom.
Right.
What school? Do they think it's going to go overboard? I don't think so.
I think so.
I think that's the answer. I think instead of
they can give a website,
parents,
they can come up with a website, a toll-free website that runs 24 hours where these kids can log on and make anonymous tips. Something needs to be done. They need avenues.
Anonymous tips.
Yes.
And I don't care if it's I mean, we have a 911, but how many, they say, well, it's a phony call. Who cares? Investigate it.
Absolutely. Because that one you don't investigate can be a child's life.
Exactly. 16 commit suicide because
Absolutely.
they're afraid to tell anybody.
Last year, Pearl, they had 654 assaults in the Philadelphia school system. Why is that not being told?
Because I don't think they're thinking about it. As you said, everybody's sweeping it under the carpets because the public schools would be shut down if the parents didn't allow their kids to go to the public school.
How about other parents, don't have a choice? We can't send our kids to mainline. I can't afford to put my kids in private school. It's too hard. Trying to put 2 kids in private school is a mortgage.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So other remedy I have sometimes is a public school. And if my child's inalienable right to go to school and be safe for 8 hours is violated, then something is wrong with the system.
Yes, and I think a hotline would make it work. But I like to finish this. I like to see what's going to happen in this lawsuit case and how much far they go with you. And if they sweep that under the carpet, they may say, well, we'll pay you, but, the media's not
I want
allowed
laws
it.
changed.
Okay. You want laws changed.
I want laws changed.
Laws are changed through Congress, not through a governor.
I want laws changed. I want someone to stand up and say enough is enough. Our children are our futures, and we need to protect them at all costs. If you expect them to go to school and learn and be productive citizens and go on and further our country, then why are they not allowed to go to school and be safe?
Yeah. I have never. I mean, when you think about it, when you went to school, if I went to school,
8 hours and you can't be safe from the moment you walk in that building, you're scared.
Not only scared of other kids, but you're also scared of the teachers molesting you. If the teachers aren't molesting you, the kids are molesting you.
What can you do? And you have to go.
And you have to go.
For 8 hours, you have to go. You have to hold your bladder because you're scared to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Some kids don't even eat lunch because they don't want to go to the bathroom.
Would you give me permission to write to the Board of Education and to the Congress and to the governor and to the media? Would you give me the permission to write to these people? Because I want a change.
Absolutely. Let's get a petition going.
Change of law.
Yes.
I also want a hotline for all the schools.
Yes.
And what are they going to do? Say, no, we can't afford a hotline for our kids?
Well, if you stop building prisons.
I'm amazed at this,
Governor Corbin took what, $3.4 million. They were downtown early this year protesting because he wants to build 13 more prisons here in Pennsylvania and taking it from the school system.
Let me ask you something, Mary. When do you feel that your child is going to say to you, Mom, you can show your face now?
I'm not sure. I know we're still in counseling. Mm-hmm. And he just started sleeping.
Okay.
Back in February.
Okay. So he's more afraid if you're in the media, then they'll associate you with him.
He is afraid that people will see him, look at him differently, and pick on him, call him names because he's not.
And they will.
And they will. And we still have to live here.
Yeah.
And we still have to live here.
What a live. This is no day. People out there, this is no day to raise kids in this country. This is no day because we're living in a world with single families, single parents. The kids, I mean, when have you ever seen where kids are molesting other kids? You heard of child molesters, the adults, but then the child is learning that they're getting molested. What happens? Do they turn gay? Or do they become the molester themselves in years to happen? Or do they become a serial killer? What happens to these kids? We better open up our eyes in this country. We're heading for an election. We're heading for presidents. We're heading for schools. What is going to happen to us? We all hear us. You hear us. But I always have an old saying. Is anybody listening?
These children go back on in front of Judge Doherty on September 13th. And I am advocating for people to write letters. I am going to be there. I have laid out the district attorney's office. I have called and let them know that I am not happy if these children, one already came off of probation. I can't even get a private protection order against this child because there's no law that can protect a child from another child, especially when we live all in the 5-block or 10-block radius.
I think what you should do is let everybody know that this is on YouTube worldwide, and everybody and their mother's going to be watching, listening, and now it's going to be up to the parents to join forces.
Yes.
As you say, and as I say, enough is enough.
Right.
And, then let's see how many people sit back.
Right.
I've always said with anything else, if it comes in their own backyard, they'll think about it.
Absolutely, because these children go back to court on September 13th at 1801 Vine Street, and Kevin Docker needs to be inundated with with letters and phone calls saying, do not let these children offer
For
probation.
parole. And is
Probation.
His complete name is?
Kevin Doherty.
So this
Judge
is
Kevin Doherty.
Judge
Kevin
Docker. Okay, all right. Well, that's all we need. There's a couple things I'm going to do though, but the hotline is for one. These kids cannot get probation, and I'm more curious about where they've learned this. How many other kids are out there learning what their parents are doing and then attacking kids themselves?
Right.
This is what's scaring me in
Right.
this world, because when I hear about kids doing it, where do they learn it from?
Well, one did say that he was watching gay porn.
Why was he able to watch it?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think it's, in my day, and I'm not going to say
And violent video games.
violent video game.
Yes.
Well, that's another one too, because
Yes.
they think they got the power play.
Absolutely. And if it's no monitoring at home, and if mom is at work because she's a single mom, these kids are latchkey kids.
Yeah.
I don't think, please don't think that I'm just hell bent on these children, because one thing that me and my
No,
son
I'm
was
not.
asking
I think
for,
it's the parents.
me and my son asked for from day one for these children to get help. They were left to themselves.
Yeah.
These children are raising themselves,
Yeah.
and it's not fair to them because they're still children. And if you raise them correctly and teach them from right and wrong, I don't have a lot of resources, but I give my kids integrity, morals, and values.
I'm not relating kids to animals, but if the old crochet, if you own a vicious animal, it's all how you raise the animal, how he's going to work out and attack people, and if they're going to go after people. So the same thing. But you know what? I was raised in a day where, and I'm glad I was, where, it was a 2-household family, mother and father, but it's not like that today. But let me say, if I did something, I remember, I never forgot. I used to say, I can't do anything wrong. I'd be afraid of my mother and father, not of the police, not of the school teachers. I was afraid of my mother and father. Not that they were bad parents, but I knew I would have got an ass kicking, whatever I did. So we were on a straight path. And if I did something wrong, and I did, I got an ass kicking. Today, you can't get an ass kicking today from your parents to say, what did you do? I'm going to report this, because the kid can pick up the phone to say, my mother is abusing me. My father is abusing me. And then they get the system over to their house. Did you really abuse them? Did you do this? Look at the picture here. Look at the picture here, people. We had to go through this. And look at today's picture. The kids can do anything they want. So we're going to report the parents. Maybe, just maybe, we should have a law that says whatever the kid does, the parent's responsible. Whatever the kid does, the parent is responsible. As she just said, the kids are innocent. They're just learning things. So maybe if you're responsible for your child and you get the crime and you have to pay the cost, you'll take care of your child and want to know what's going on. What do you think of this, Mayor?
I think it's excellent. I think parents should be held accountable. I'm held accountable. I'm held accountable for my children's actions, right, wrong, or indifference, and I correct bad behavior at home, because that's where bad behavior starts.
If you're listening, and I want you to listen and watch this show, if you got to watch it 20 times and refer your next door neighbor, your family, your friends, and they have kids, what I would like you to do, have a petition signed and send it to me on my email, on the pearlpolto.net. Do anything you have to do. So we have a petition. By the time I write to this Board of Education, I have quantity to send them to say, enough is enough. And this is the only way I think it's going to stop. We have to have new laws, as she puts, new petitions, and things do change. The people, I constantly say, you can make things happen. Stop putting your head in the sand because your kids are watching you.
And don't wait until it happens to your child.
Wait till it comes in your own backyard. Then the eyes will open up. And
Yes.
say,
Don't wait. These
gonna
are
be in
all our
this
children.
woman's position.
Yes.
Mary, I want to thank you because it took a lot of nerve, a lot of guts, but I'm glad you did it because I think you want changes.
Yes. I don't want another child, another mother to go through what we're going through.
It won't happen. Not in our day, as they say. Not
No.
under my watch.
Not
as
under
they say.
not under my watch. I don't want another parent, another mother to come home from work trying to, take care of her family, rob Peter to pay Paul, and to be told and just flatline that her child was molested or assaulted at school.
I don't know what I would have done. I really don't. I mean, I don't know if I would have gotten a gun and shot the person or came home. I don't know what I would have done.
You know what? People ask me that all the time. Well, how do you feel about it? And listen, my first position is to make sure my son's health and his mental state is intact. Me going to hurt these kids and parents, they already hurt. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hurt people. Only thing I could do is pray for them, and make sure this does not happen to another
if you would have
child.
hurt them, they would have arrested you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then where would my children be?
Yeah, exactly. And that happens all the time. So this is why our country is the way it is.
That's
it's pretty
correct.
Sad. Next week, don't forget, we have the firemen on. You think, if you heard it all, you haven't. Mary, I want to thank you.
Thank you, Pearl, for having me on.
No, saying it like it is. Maybe, I always say, one more child that doesn't get molested may be because of you.
Thank
let's
you.
hope it goes all over the world.
We can't take another assault on our children. It's a war, people. Our kids are to pray, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it.
Amazing. Thank you, Mary, for coming on the Pearl Polto Show.
Thank you.
This is Pearl Polto, as always, making the most of your credit and any consumer problem. If you have a consumer problem, please email me, write to me, and say, I'm having this problem. Maybe you will be a guest on the show. And as you say, you don't have to sit beside me if there's an important issue that has to be out to the public. This is Pearl Polto. See you next week.
Interest rates are